All right, everyone, welcome back into another NFL props video. Going to be touching on the top prop bets for this Thursday night showdown between the Cleveland Browns and the New York Giants. Getting into the game preview, this is a game that really could be ugly. It's a 7.5 point spread to start out with, you know, the potential for the blowout, but also it's a 35 for the over and under. We know Thursday night football games have kind of been ugly. Really, a lot of the primetime games have been ugly as well this year. I'm kind of expecting that for this game as well. Looking at the injury report for the Browns, Cooper is currently questionable. We're expecting him to play. That'll be obviously a big deal if he were to sit, but yeah, we're expecting him to play. The Browns have a long list of players that have been injured or are questionable. All in all, a lot of those have been known factors for quite some time. Now, looking at the Jets, you know, Al Nazar being questionable with the illness, I think is interesting. If he were to sit, Brownlee would be someone I would definitely be interested in this game, and I'll touch on that in a second. Zach Wilson is still out, so it's going to be Trevor Siemian getting the start. But with that, let's just go ahead and get into the top plays or picks for the Cleveland Browns on Thursday night. Just looking at right now, I'm going to be going with Underdog. They typically have a lot more lines out there on, you know, Wednesday when I'm recording the videos. Still not a lot. Like, this is still not a lot. Looking at right now, they did give us Amari Cooper earlier on today at 4.5 receptions. The data told us about the under. I have a lot of bets out there for Amari Cooper for under 4.5 receptions. Both sites have since pulled that prop, so it'll be interesting to see if that one comes back. The next one that we are actually going to get is going to be Elijah Moore for 3. The data is actually really liking the under there, and I would say this probably just has a strong chance to be a push. The data or the sportsbooks have the line set at 2.5, where they were massively favoring the over. They were massively favoring to get that over. And so if we just go ahead and take a peek at the two receivers, obviously Cooper there gets a very difficult matchup against the Jets. A lot of receivers have been shut down by the Jets cornerbacks, and so I have an issue in one of my leagues. I'm in fantasy football season-long leagues. I don't know whether or not I'm going to start Amari Cooper. And what sounds crazy, after having 2 pretty awesome games in a row, it's just such a difficult matchup. And so I don't know. It's a weird conundrum that we have, and Thursday nights are not fun. In general, I really wish for fantasy football purposes that those games, there'd be no Thursday night game. Looking at Elijah Moore, you know, he is on the field a lot, guys. He's just not being used. You know, 4 targets, 3 targets, 6 targets, just not enough of a target share right now. JoeFlaco is really just looking at 2 players right now, David Njoku, and also looking at Amari Cooper. And so if that continues, like it probably will, I could definitely see us kind of placing the Elijah Moore prop bet with the under, kind of assuming that's just going to be a push. All in all, they have used him in ways to get him the football, but at the same time, he hasn't really proven that he deserves that. And so for me, I think we can just pass up on Elijah Moore. Now, another player that has been getting some more playing time for them has been Cedric Tillman. And when we look at it right now, one of the props that we're getting for him for Cedric Tillman is 21.5 receiving yards on PrizePicks. For Underdog, we're not getting any of those, so let me just jump. Oh, we are. Sorry. For Underdog, we are getting at 22.5. I just don't feel comfortable with that. Again, in this offense, or in this matchup with the Jets defense, I expect this offense to struggle. And sure, he had a good game against Chicago. That was an easy matchup. The Rams, 6 targets in that game. You like that? 5 targets against Denver. Like, he is on the field. He is getting targeted. Like, we look at the snaps. Love that. Love that snap share, right? At the same time, I do just expect this to kind of be a funnel offense to David Njoku and Amari Cooper. But really, I think we're just going to see this team just try to rush the football. And so for me, I want to see if we're getting any good rushing props for really Jerome Ford. Now, he's not going to be playing a lot. That's kind of the worry. When we look at Jerome Ford's snaps, guys, he's only playing like max of 50% of the snaps basically when Kareem Hunt's healthy and active now lately. And so that is a concern. We are seeing a little bit more of Strong, and then Kareem Hunt just getting his normal work share. And so we're not getting any prop bets for Jerome Ford on Underdog. Let's take a peek at PrizePicks. And just a reminder again, guys, what we want to do when we get into the PrizePicks tab, go to bet type, and we want to go to standard. PrizePicks threw in the Goblin and Demon props. For the most part, you don't want to be using those. And we're going to see, yeah, we are not getting any Jerome Ford props. So it's very difficult to say what we should do here. But let's just real quickly talk through it. Like, this is how you attack the Jets defense. To me, I expect Jerome Ford to get at least 10 carries in this game, especially if they're playing with the lead, especially if this is a game in which they're a 7-point favorite. Let's say they are playing with the lead. His prop line for like rush attempts should at least be at 9. I would imagine it's going to come in at 9.5. If it does come in at 9.5, I'm perfectly happy to bet the over there. Because if you just look at games in which they have been kind of with a reasonable lead, he has, and that's been rare, but he has gone over 10 rushing attempts. And so again, if we're betting on Vegas being correct, I think we're going to be okay with betting the over rushing attempts. If it's at 9.5, I'd be fine with that. All in all, that's the only thing I really want to do with Ford. Like, he's looked good. I know the yards per carry has been down. He's their top running back. We know that. Kareem Hunt, questionable. We know he's going to play. He's also someone that's, again, like rush attempts wise, I would imagine he does get at least 7 in this game. Maybe he gets an extra one, so 7.5, I would say. Strong, yeah, I just don't want to touch, honestly. So nothing there. And then just let's go over Joe Flacco as well, because we did get a couple of passing attempts props. Again, I don't think we want to touch any Joe Flacco props. I think the public is actually going to try to get to Joe Flacco, trying to talk you into Joe Flacco just dominating. And don't get me wrong, he kind of has, but at the same time, came into a little bit of a perfect situation going against that Jaguars defense that's been terrible lately, going against the Chicago defense that, albeit it's okay lately, but still not the best, in Houston defense that is susceptible to giving up big games. And that being said, 2 INTs, 3 INTs, like, he is still the same old Joe Flacco. The biggest difference right now is he is taking advantage of some wide open plays that have been there, and also he's let Amari Cooper be a stud. And so I personally expect Joe Flacco going against his former team from last year. I expect him to struggle. It's also a short week. I expect Joe Flacco to struggle. So I don't think we want to be betting on the pass completions, guys, like 21.5 to me. And that kind of echoes Elijah Moore under receptions. To me, I'd probably want to be betting the under there. And so all in all, I feel like we shouldn't touch that prop just at all. Now let's just go ahead and get into the New York Jets, guys. Let's start out with showing you guys their snap counts, because I do find it fascinating. So yes, Trevor Simeon's going to be the QB1. He's going to start. We know that. Garrett Wilson, 95% of the snaps, got double-digit targets again. I think that's what we're going to expect again. Tyler Conlin instantly came back into the tight end 1 role, and I hope that continues again, because if he's going to get 82% of the snaps, to me, that is awesome. Okay, to me, that's something we can bank on. Now, Tyler Conlin, we know that with Zach Wilson at the quarterback, was a much better kind of fantasy asset at the tight end position. I'll talk through that in a second here. And then, yeah, Brownlee, guys. A lot of people maybe don't know this or have noticed this. He was someone that really stood out in the preseason for them. And if you guys play preseason DFS, you already know this. And if you don't, you guys are missing out. Be there next year with the content. But he is someone that, yeah, got a lot of hype in camp. Lately has been playing more snaps. Again, we look at the snap counts, guys. 32, then played 98% of snaps, played in 50. He was well on his way to getting a massive snap share in that game as well. Got injured, sat out the next 2 games, and then literally had 82% of the snaps in the next game. Now, Cleveland and the Jets, they're both difficult matchups. We get that. But all in all, I'm very curious as to what lines we're going to get on Brown in this game, especially if they are playing from behind. I do think that's something that can interest us. And so he is someone that I have no idea what kind of lines I'd be comfortable with, in all honesty, but I like 1.5 receptions. I would probably like. I have no idea what the receiving yards would be at. Like, if it's at 10, I'm probably betting the over. Oh, and what'd you know? We are getting some receiving yard props for Jason Brownlee. So it would appear that PrizePicks is a little bit too high at 13.5. Underdog at 12.5. We can see that has a 50% chance to hit. So all in all, to me, that's probably a little bit too thin, but all in all, I could see myself betting that if we don't have any good props. From there, Trevor Simeon, pass attempts at 31.5. We are seeing that as about a 52.3% chance to hit. And again, if you guys are someone that maybe likes to game script your bets, that could be one that makes sense. Like, do Kareem Hunt, do Jerome Ford over rushing attempts, again, at those lines that I mentioned they could be at. And then I think Trevor Simeon would have a good chance to get the over pass attempts, simply game flow wise, right? If the Browns are playing with a 7-point lead, which I really don't think they're going to, guys. Like, there's been a lot of weird lines this season that I feel like I've been able to nail for you guys. Like, literally, I think I missed like 1 out of like 8 where the lines were just strange that we were getting on the game. This line seems to be very strange for me as well. Now, I know they just really kind of almost had a terrible game against Washington there, where they almost let them come back from behind, but they didn't. That's the big thing. They didn't. I know Trevor Simeon has been terrible. Again, I don't expect Flacco to have a good game, and so the line that we're getting, I don't love. So it really just depends on how you guys see the game going. If you see the Browns actually, winning by 7+ points, it being kind of a blowout, then you probably do want to bet Trevor Simeon for over 31.5 pass attempts. I don't know if I can get there. Tyler Conlin, I do want to point out, again, he played so many snaps in that game, and that's partially due to the backup tight end, or the tight end that had been getting some run, getting injured in that game. He's going to be out in this game. And so with that, I think we can fully expect Tyler Conlin to get 80% of the snaps again. And we can see the targets that he's been getting 7, 7, 6, and he was starting to see his snaps get limited. In this game, they're not going to be limited. So So looking at the receiving yards that we're getting, I don't mind this bet. 27.5 on Underdog, 28.5 on PrizePicks. Again, 1 yard difference. Hopefully that's not the difference in the cashing or not cashing, but I'm perfectly fine betting the over receiving yards there for Tyler Conlin, just hoping that he's gaining 80% of the snaps again. To me, that's really the bet, is if he gets 80% of the snaps again or not. And then from there, I don't want to touch Breece Hall, guys, in this game. Cleveland's defense is good. They're really going to try to make the Jets throw the football. And here's actually a prop bet that I probably like a little bit more. Tyler Conlin for over 3 receptions. I think that'd be a good one. And then Garrett Wilson, let's just talk about it. We got a 4 yard difference. That's pretty big. And we can see Underdog and PrizePicks are both right in the middle for Garrett Wilson for his receiving yards. The average sportsbook line would have it set at 49. Underdog has set at 47.5. Or sorry, PrizePicks has it set at 47.5. Underdog has set at 51.5. So definitely an interesting line there. And so looking at there with Garrett Wilson, just been targeted so heavily, guys. Like, this is a difficult matchup. We know that. And they really haven't played tougher teams defensively lately. But this line does seem to be just a little bit too low for Garrett Wilson. I know it's a difficult matchup, but the Browns defense has been a little bit lackluster lately. And so I feel like we have some okay prop bets to go in right now. I wish we were getting more. I wish we were getting some tackles and assist props and whatnot. We're not, I believe. Let me just double check that. We're getting 1, Tony Adams, but that's not a good EV bet. So yeah, it's definitely a more difficult matchup to target right now, props wise, guys. It just is. I'll show you guys kind of my favorite bets, knowing that I probably want to be getting in on those rushing attempts props for, probably Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt if they're, again, at 9.5 and probably 7.5. All right, so before I get into the bet of the day, I do want to make it clear that these are currently my favorite bets. I literally am just going to be running out this bet slip for this video. So that's my way of saying, guys, if you like one of them, by all means, you can use it. I want to go too crazy with it. Okay, we're not getting any good EV on these prop bets. If we chase these lines like this in the long term, where percent likelihood they're not likely to hit, it's not going to be that successful. Again, I kind of want to take the wait and see approach to see if we get better lines throughout the day tomorrow. Now, that being said, I wouldn't just like give out a random slip if I didn't like it somewhat. But again, it's just like, it's very tight. I don't like it. I'm very much trying to do a stack, which I think kind of makes sense. Like Tyler Conlin over 3 receptions. Again, if he's going to be playing 80% of the snaps again, I'm perfectly fine with that. I expect him to at least get to 3 receptions. Garrett Wilson over 47.5 receiving yards. If he's getting double-digit targets and basically not leaving the field, that is going to be interesting to me. The Browns defense has somewhat struggled lately. They're still a good defense, don't get me wrong. And then Brownlee, again, I think this makes for a much better bet on Underdog, where it's 12.5. The average sportsbook line is telling us this is not a good bet though. Okay, at 12.5 receiving yards, it's a 50-50 likelihood. So for us chasing at 13.5, it doesn't help us, like Vegas wise, like not a good long-term bet, chasing a bet like this. All in all though, I think he's gonna play 80 or so percent of the snaps. All in all, this is kind of a bet on the Jets playing from behind, even though I don't really agree with that line. We'll see. And then Trevor Siemian, if we are doing all those 3 receiving based props, right, then I think we do need to do Trevor Siemian for over 18.5 pass completions, because if we're doing this, he's already at 15.5, right? If we're doing this, that's probably at least 5 receptions, so 8. And then if we're doing this, honestly, probably 2 receptions there as well, so 10. So he just needs to get 9 more elsewhere. We'll see, right? It's not the best. And then this was just one that doesn't matter because, well, it'll be gone by the time the video's live. So that's gonna be all for the video, guys. Again, like, if you are a 9 to 5 member, be looking at the prop bets for this game tomorrow on Thursday. For those of you that are watching it, it is available for just $10 a month. Gives you access to both PrizePicks and Underdog. Again, like, I don't want to sell the membership at all, but this is a slate in which, as I'm recording this video, I'm not seeing that many good prop bets just yet. But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys being here. Give a like and subscribe. That's going to be all. Thanks, as always. And as always, let's keep cashing.